Okay, good morning and welcome, guys. It is Monday, the 5th of December. As always, I am your host, Dane From. This is Pounds for Breakfast, and we are about to look at what's happening in the markets this week. Guys, it feels like December. It feels like holiday mode is fully kicked in. It is the first week, but it still feels like we're fully in it. So let me know where in the world you guys are joining us from. I'd love to hear from you, and let's give it a look. Let's quickly have a look at all of our brand new members. I can see Wayland's in the house, Monitor's in the house, Ruan's in the house, Lana, Lucky's in the house, Tyler, Chua, John, Darlene Shaw, brand new member, Alvin Forsey, Cohen, Fabian's in the house, Lucky, welcome, you amazing human beings. Chua is all the way from Lithuania, beautiful, as well as Cape Town in the house. Okay, guys, if you're with us last week, NFP was a monster of a day. If you guys traded that one with us live, it was an amazing event. Again, if you were a Premium Plus member, we spent about an hour prior to NFP doing the setups there, right? So I got a lot of questions afterwards from people all over the world, from public from all over the world, different countries. Some people trading have never traded before, trying to understand how did we make 30 to 40% of our accounts in 30 seconds, right? And again, as I've said before in past shows, and this is the rule with trading, is that preparation is everything, right? We spent an hour, just under an hour with our Premium Plus members, meaning our Globex 360 funded clients that had more than $1,000 in their live accounts. We went step by step in order to do the risk management, in order to set up those pending orders, to essentially make sure that we cover all opportunities that could end up happening in the markets, right? Again, yesterday was or Friday was a straight mover. We could have obviously had capitalized on it even further, but I was fairly happy with 30-40% in a shorter period of time. Let's see here. Tariq is asking, will I go live for CPI next week? Yes, I will be live for CPI next week. And again, that's going to be a Premium Plus facility for Premium Plus clients, right? So you need more than $1,000 in your live account. Troy Nike is saying 11 seconds. Yeah, I think it was something silly. It was extremely quick. I would have loved to have obviously made sure we held out there for a couple minutes, but we did see a sharp pullback after the markets had run. So I think we capitalized in plus minus run by 3,000 pips, and then markets turned around and did their own thing. So I'm pretty happy. We got in, got out, did the work, and that was the end of that. So again, if you're with us last week Friday, just put your hands up in there to let us know that you're with us. I can see Kimberly's in the house. Beautiful stuff. Daryl Knight is saying hello, everybody. Daryl's also a member. Okay, guys, so let's get into it. There's going to be, the market's going to be focusing this week as well as next week on the next interest rates announcement, right? That is going to be the last major news event for the year. The whole world, the market's going to be looking at Powell into this next interest rate announcement. Yes, we're going to have CPI data. Yes, we're going to have more PPI data. Yes, we're going to have more inflation-related type data. But that means nothing in relation to what is that next interest rate announcement going to be. I've got a fairly good idea of where we're going to go. I've got a fairly good idea of what the sentiment's going to be there. But again, it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what the market's think and how do we prepare for that. So again, remember, as per normal, after a big NFP day, right? We had a massive NFP Friday. The Monday tends to be a bit slower, right? Again, price action might not act in its perfect way. And again, this is going to be one of the benefits of being a Globex 360 client, because in your back office, in your client area, we've listed our favorite trades that are going to be happening over the course of this next week. Some of them are going to be swing trades, some of them are scalps, and some of them are day trades. We have some amazing trades that are there for you. But without jumping too deep into that, I will go through it in a second. Let's start off with the news and what's really happening in the world. Before we get into that FX analysis, before we get into the fundamentals, I'm going to open up and just have a look at what's happening in the news. So let's start off, and we're going to start off on the local front as always. And guys, if you're paying attention to what has obviously happened in the last week, things are politically extremely tight here in South Africa. There's not a lot busy being reported on it this morning, but there was a period last week where there was a potential for the current president to basically resign, right? So that was big, that was massive, and yeah, obviously caused a lot of instability with the South African rand. So yeah, we just got to keep a little bit of an eye on that. It is going to flare up, all right? There's going to be a ton of issues there. Both current leaders, potential future presidents for South Africa, both sitting with a ton of unresolved issues there. The runner-up candidate was obviously tied into that 150 million rand PPE type scandal. So I don't know. We're gonna have to obviously watch this one and just have a look at what ends up coming. Okay, looking onto the UK really quickly before we get into this US data. Pound sterling rides on risk on wave high against the euro dollar, but warnings have been sounded. So in essence, the pound is just sitting back and watching the turbulence in the dollar, watching the turbulence on the euro, and this is nothing new, right? These major currencies are going to swap times for the volatility, right? We're going to see the euro go through trouble, then we'll see the pound go through trouble, and then we'll see the dollar go through what we saw happen on Friday. Now again, many people saw that dollar gain and said, wow, right, jobs data is good, this is good. Very, very quickly markets turned around and realized that good data means bad data and bad data means good data. So even though we saw some gains in the dollar temporarily for NFP on Friday because of that positive jobs data, markets have since reversed and taken away all of those gains subsequently since then. So we are going to see a little bit of this yo-yo effect happen across the markets, and this is just going to be something fairly commonplace throughout the markets. Okay, the biggest article for today is going to be this countdown towards the next Fed meeting, right? The world is going to be watching this. This is where most of the pressure is going to be, and it is fairly likely, up until NFP on Friday, it was fairly likely we were going to see that 50 basis point hike. Now, NFP Friday might have changed everything, right? Again, we're looking at that labor market. We're looking at the labor market being in imbalance. And again, remember, there's a lot of people confused right now saying, but, you know, surely the labor market's doing well. This is a good thing. You know, how can we be heading for a recession? The reality is there's an imbalance right now, right? The Federal Reserve wants to see higher unemployment, wants to see jobs being filled on a more regular basis. They want to see this imbalance between the labor supply and the job supply come back into back towards normality, right? And this means seeing more and more people unemployed. I know it's counterintuitive. Again, it's just part of how inflation works. They want to slow down the economy to bring this thing under control. The NFP data report that we got on Friday shows a very, very hot labor market, a very, very hot jobs market. So again, how this is going to swing, Powell, we're going to have to obviously look at it in the next coming days. But what you need to know is that the conference is scheduled, right, for the guys to sit down on the 13th and the 14th of December, right? We are expecting, right, that very big CPI data to be coming out on the 13th, right? Someone in the comments was asking, hey, are we going to be trading that CPI data? And that is going to be the data that is due next week, Tuesday, right? That next week, Tuesday data event is essentially going to be a big leading indicator or big leading factor as to what the Federal Reserve ends up deciding, right? We should be expecting that answer coming between the 14th and the 15th of December. So anywhere from next week, Wednesday to Thursday, and we will be streaming that one. We will be doing that one live. Now, remember, there's a pretty big announcement that I will be making towards the end of this week, but we are rebuilding the studio, right, in totality. So Globex 360 Live TV is going through a makeover. We want to make the makeover before 2023. We don't want to leave it until January to do the makeover. We want to start to change things up before the next year, but we also want to change things up, get the testing done, and make sure that we've set a new standard for December. So that means that we will have periods of time that we will not be streaming. Primarily next week is going to be the biggest week. We're going to be affected by this because of the move in the studio. However, we will be making sure that A, the CPI is definitely streamed, and B, that Federal Reserve interest rate decision meeting with Powell as well as the Federal Reserve, that is also traded and streamed live, regardless of the studio is half built, completely built, even if it means doing it from my bed, regardless, we'll make sure that we trade that as well as stream that together. So again, that is going to be the very next big event. The whole world is looking at that next week, right? Mid next week is going to be big. It's going to be massive. But looking into the markets this week, we don't have all too much data. We will have a little bit of data that we can utilize today. And let's open up some of those fundamental data points. And we're just going to have a look at what is going to be the big items for this week. Now, looking at today, we have that ISM non-manufacturing PMI that is coming out at 5 o'clock today on the dollar. That is going to be the biggest item for the day. We will be trading that one live, and that'll be part of the Dollars for Lunch. That'll be a premium show. So again, you need to have more than $100 balance in your live accounts, meaning not deposited $100 in the last while. Your balance needs to be $100.01 in order to get the link for that live event that will be in your back office. That's going to be the big item for today. But looking later on into the week, in terms of what's going to be the balanced items we need to pay attention to, you can see Tuesday is fairly calm. We have got some trade balance, nothing substantial there. GDP data on Wednesday. Thursday looking also fairly calm. And then we've got some PPI data that's on Friday, right? Michigan consumer sentiment, right, also has an ability to move markets there, but PPI is going to be the biggest item. So for this week, I would say the biggest movers that are going to move the markets is going to be this ISM non-manufacturing PMI due this afternoon. That's going to be coming out at 5 p.m. And then again on Friday, we've got some PPI data. Those are going to be the two big events. We've got some smaller interim data. If we have a look at some of the other currency pairs in between that, as we look at the week. But in terms of the items I'm going to be focusing on, those are going to be the main items. Everything else is pretty much going to be pure price action. Looking at the S&P 500 heat map this afternoon, or this morning rather, we can see we've got a bit of a mixed bag here, and that again is just going to be due to that massive strength we saw in the dollar, and the dollar giving back all of that strength. One of the outliers that I'm fairly interested in here is the fact that Meta, of all companies, managed to eke out a little bit of a gain on Friday at that 2.53% gain across the board. The rest of them pretty much looking 50-50, percent up, percent down, nothing big, fairly average. However, a ton of volume in that market on Friday, so definitely nothing to scoff at whatsoever. So I think let's open up and let's jump into some of the data. Let's have a look at what we could be looking at from an analysis perspective. And I'm purely going to be focusing on our favorite trades that we've picked. And there's two of importance here. There's a trade from last week that is still developing that is and can turn into a swing trade, but I'm not going to cover all of these because again, this is a premium plus feature. If you are a premium plus member, meaning you have more than $1,000 in your live account, you can log into your back office and you can see some beautiful price action for commodities, indices, FX, as well as crypto, right? So any of the asset classes, you can go ahead and have a look at our favorites, and it'll show you our favorite price action. These will be both breakouts, these will be continuations across the board. Fabian, so I will start to dive deeper into Bitcoin. We will cover that in the dollars for lunch. There's not going to be any movement this morning, right? So I have been seeing a little bit of a movement on the crypto side of things, and I do want to focus and make that a premium feature as well as premium plus. So we'll dive much deeper into Bitcoin, but I see your comment there. We will obviously get through to you. Alvin 4C, Raf, Chua, Fabian, Ruan, Wyland, all saying they were in the house with us as well. Tyler in the house as well. Daryl Naidu saying hello everybody. Fabian saying all right, beautiful. Okay, so let's have a look at it really quickly, and I want to show you guys some Forex items here. And these are going to be of pretty big significance. Now, USD CAD has been identified for a couple of reasons, right? The first reason is that we've got that extremely weak dollar that's come in, right? Again, the dollar gains were temporary. I'm going to show you that on a chart a little bit later, but we've identified this opportunity a few hours ago. It's about 4 or 5 hours old now, but there is a probability to see about 100 pips short on USD CAD over the next 2 days. So from today until Wednesday, we could see USD CAD push down to that 1.33. In other words, $1 buying 1 Canadian, 33 cents and 31 pips over the next 2 days. Entity USD is a bit of a longer position towards the top side, and that has also a probability to get about 30 pips, a little bit of a smaller position, but it is it's a buy opportunity towards that 0.6696 level and or mark. Now again, on the indices side, there's still that opportunity we've identified on NASDAQ. That is a long-term move all the way for the next 26 days. So pretty much for the next trading month, right, over the course of December, there's a high probability for NASDAQ to still hit that $12,210 mark towards that top side. There's also opportunities from a scalp perspective, right, on NASDAQ to still go even further than that and potentially make a push even further closer into that 13,000 range and even further. So again, a lot of probabilities here on indice markets. And again, as we've discussed in previous broadcasts, if we go back and have a look at how the stock markets or Wall Street has performed in most cases, and you can go back and do this information, have a look at it yourself, end of November, beginning December, generally are some of the best months for the stock markets across the board. So the fact that we're seeing these price action breakouts, the fact that we're seeing these past yearly data points pointing towards these higher stock markets, definitely something you want to pay attention to as we look at that long term. Now, quickly, before we get into anything else, I just want to go ahead and I want to jump in. I just want to have a look at what is happening on the dollar index, just to show you guys the effects from Friday, right? What did NFP do to the dollar, and what was the end result, and how do we essentially benefit from this, and how do we deal with this from a trading perspective? So again, as you guys know, we generally like to start with the dollar index, but I just want to start some opportunities there. This is currently looking at a 30-minute time frame. And the result of NFP Friday was this, right? This is looking at 3 o'clock. Remember, the data came out at 3:30. So even if I go down to a 15-minute, this might give you a little bit more. Let's have a look here. There we go. All right. So here is our NFP release, right? Again, the jobs data came out extremely good. Good for the dollar, bad for indice markets. We had some pending orders. We sold US 30 quite substantially. But just looking at the dollar's performance against the other currencies, this is the dollar index, 15-minute time frame. We see we've got a slight gap and then we've got a major push, right? Not for all that long. We had a total of about 30 minutes of bull momentum here. And directly after that, we started to see that breakdown towards that downside. At this point in time, we are currently lower than the open of NFP on Friday, right? We've seen in the last 2 hours, markets have built up momentum to this point. But I think we just want to essentially just monitor this place that we're in right now, because we've essentially closed this gap up twice in a row now. Looking at where we're currently at, it's definitely going to be, something we need to consider, that there can be a continuation towards that downside. Markets have decided that the stronger jobs data ultimately is a net negative for the dollar. Now, this is in line with what we've seen over the past couple months. In most other currencies, looking primarily at the euro and the pound, whenever they've seen inflationary data like CPI going up, PPI going up, on the dollar, we've seen that CPI, PPI going up has given the dollar a boost, right? As per normal times, non-recessionary periods. On the euro and the pound, we've seen that they have realized and proactively don't allow that currency to boost in value, because they know that just around the corner lies another interest rate increase, lies another economic policy to slow down the economy. And so they started to understand very, very quickly, specifically the euro and the pound, that good data is actually bad data and bad data is good data. This is the first time we're seeing in the past interest rate announcements, so let's say the past 4 months, that we're observing the dollar has actually acted in the way that makes sense, right? Meaning a good jobs report momentarily may be good for the dollar, but the markets understand that all this is going to do is delay the interest rates starting to curb off and starting to come down. Right, if anything, a very hot jobs report data, if anything, put the next interest rate announcement into jeopardy, that we were very certain we're going to get that 50 basis point hikes or 0.5% interest rate base hike. At the moment, this NFP data could have put that in jeopardy to go back to that full fat 75 basis points. So markets are starting to act a little bit more normal in terms of what this could mean overall. So again, there are going to be opportunities across the board. We have not yet listed what we want to see on US 30 into our favorites, because we are currently sitting in this new trend. We don't have any breakouts yet. As you can see, this is US 30. You guys will remember the time frame in the chart from our trade on Friday. Essentially, we shorted. We had some buy stops and sell stops in this area. We accommodated for all different outcomes. However, we got the most straightforward of all outcomes. We could have had slightly more risk, whatever the case may be. But ultimately, we saw that straight rally for over 3,000 pips. We peaked out at about 4,100 pips towards that downside, and automatically a little bit of a retracement. So again, NFP, a lot of times people ask and say, why do I get in the trade and get out? Right? There's a lot of people in the comments saying, hold the sell, hold the sell. There's a reason we sometimes get in and get out. It's nice to sometimes hold these trades long term. And I got a lot of questions. Why didn't I re-enter? Why didn't I enter again? You can see very clearly why we didn't go ahead and do that, because markets essentially started that massive retracement not all too long directly after that, right? Again, US 30 Dow Jones towards that top side. So I'm quite interested in US 30 Dow Jones, what it's doing this morning in terms of this current zone, right? We've got a nice little push into this zone. We are sitting at about almost 10 minutes past 10 this morning. London session well underway. But again, I'm also obviously quite cautious of the fact that anytime after NFP, then you can go and have a look at this. Go look at the past 2-3 months, right? The Monday after NFP, and have a look at markets, right? You're going to find markets got these little bits of volume in it, and then markets just sit completely sideways. So just take that into your trading approach, adjust your strategy for this morning. We are going to see markets being a little bit slow. This New York Stock Exchange open might start a bit slow, but remember, we've got that fundamental data coming in at 5, and that'll add a bit of volume into the market. So perfect combination, adding a bit of salt, adding a bit of spice into an otherwise slow market. We're going to see some big volume come in this afternoon at 5 o'clock, just after New York Stock Exchange open. Again, we're going to save looking at Bitcoin as well as other cryptocurrencies for that session, because that's where we're going to start to see the bulk of our volume this afternoon. For today, it's going to be pretty much price action all day. Price action throughout the morning, price action throughout the evening. But again, if you want to get into some more of those opportunities, you definitely want to go ahead, make sure you are funded. Make sure you get into the Premium Plus side of things so that you get these market opportunities at your fingertips. In addition to that, and what I'm enjoying a ton, and I'm getting a lot of feedback from clients that clients are just having an absolute ball with, is the fact that on their emails, they're getting these market opportunities directly into their emails, right? So wherever in the world you are, right, at whatever time we identify these opportunities, whatever time the systems say, listen, it's met all these parameters, you get these opportunities specifically on the hour, exactly when they're most important. So if you've got them and you're enjoying them, let us know. It's definitely something we're enjoying and having a ton of fun with as well on our side of things, right? So again, we're going to have a fairly quiet day today. This is all going to be about planning our trades, planning our week. Again, just fully understanding that next week is the big week, right? We're going to have some big fundamental data. We've got the Fed sitting down for that next interest rate decision. And again, guys, please, I get so many people that are interested in the Fed interest rate decision, and they're not prepared by the time we get there. They miss these big events. These are events that move thousands and thousands of pips, and they set the tone for the markets, right? If you want to be part of that, you want to trade that live with us, you need to have a Globex 360 live account with a minimum of $1,000 in that account to be able to partake in that particular event, right? The starting point for premium is $100, and that's the bare minimum, purely because of the fact that your risk management is so tight. Trading really becomes something serious, something you can take by the horns from about $1,000 and above. You can actually manage your risk accordingly. So that is why we are setting that up. In terms of Wyson, Tony asking about gold analysis for today. If you go have a look in your back office, like I said, there is an opportunity available to you. You just want to go ahead and have a look at that. There's nothing identified on gold to looking at trading. Gold obviously has taken a very similar type of approach to indices. Massive move, top to downside, net neutral. Now the markets need to decide, are they going to favor temporary fundamental data that is technically long-term bad for the dollar, or they're going to favor temporary current data that's good for the dollar? And that's what we need to obviously essentially run with. Fabian, I will answer that question a little bit later. We are going to be releasing that to our members first. So Premium Plus as well as Private Wealth will gain access first to that new set of data as we move studios and as we do a bunch of changes. It will be available in the course of December. We will highlight that date and time as to where it's going to be specifically. That will come in line with obviously the new trading platform. We want the new trading platform to be up and running, physically tested fine. We are still waiting for our technical team just to sort out the trailing stop. I don't think that's fixed yet. And then we'll release everything together. We want everything to tie in as an ecosystem together, right? We're also busy testing the ability to, from the trade opportunity, click trade now and physically take you into the trading platform and open up the chart that is relevant towards that analysis. So that's something we're busy with, and we'll keep you guys updated. So again, dollars for lunch, we're going to see the first bit of volume in this market as we look at the New York Stock Exchange open and that fundamental data coming in at 5 o'clock. Outside of that, guys, you know the drill. It is Monday. Obviously, spend some time in the market, spend some time on analysis, but everything there and after is going to be about planning, right? We want to be planning. We want to be looking at the markets. We want to be essentially planning our next steps for the next coming days, as well as that next week, right? Next week is going to be big. It's going to be massive. Don't make the mistake many traders do, and they liquidate their live trading accounts to spend a bunch of money in December, only to enter January with credit card debts and in a position where they're not sure how they're going to be making money in this next year, right? You want to be in a position to make some serious cash for this next year. It's going to require you to keep that trading account maintained, right? We had a ton of clients. Again, Premium Plus means $1,000 or more. If you consider 40% on a $1,000 account, you're looking at anywhere. Average client was sitting there with about $1,600. You look at essentially about 40% of $1,600. You're looking at anywhere between $500-600, right? That's 10,000 Rand made in one event in one day. If you look at the course of a month, we have at least 5 to 10 big events every single month. Now imagine if you're just looking at 30 to 40% on those events throughout the month, right? You can do the math, but if you can make 10,000 a day on a big day like that, you can do the math, right? So when you enter into next year and you're looking at your credit card debts, you're looking at these interest rate increases, and you're in a position where you're kicking a bucket and asking yourself why you haven't done something differently. Remember what I'm saying to you now, that again, you want something to change, you've got to be the change you want to see. You can't keep doing the same thing and expect a different outcome. You keep doing what you've always done, you're going to keep getting what you've always got. Remember that, right? You want to be a change, you got to make that change. Okay, guys, listen, smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't done so already. I can see Trade Ranger has jumped in there and become a member and subscribed. Remember, this afternoon's Dollars for Lunch, it's a premium event. So in order to get access to that, you need to have more than $100 in your Global 360 live account. We will then give that link to you in your back office, as well as email that out in the course of the day. I'm looking forward to this afternoon. I'm looking forward to this week. I'm looking forward to the big changes with the studio. It's going to make it a lot easier for us to stream at any point in time. You're going to see a lot more streams. You're going to see a lot more content. Some very exciting times ahead. Guys, as always, you know the drill. Be safe, trade safe. And as always, remember to do things the Global 360 way. I'll see everybody at 4:15 for those of you who have your $100 live accounts. Until I see you then, goodbye.